Alrighty, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Weightroom Overtime. And as you can see, we are in a new location, new house, new studio, I guess you could say, and a new bar. So I guess you get the best of both worlds. But welcome. I do want to apologize since I haven't posted anything in a little while. Reason is because I moved from Arizona to Montana. For those who don't know, not know, and that's essentially the reason because obviously I had to move, had to drive, had to set up a little bit, and life is crazy, but we're here. But thank you guys for tuning in. Love you guys' support. Without further ado, I do have a couple things out for you guys. If you haven't already, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook, and then also Northwest Athletic Performance is my business page, and that's where I train athletes, program, look at their current training programs as well, see how I can help and help people, develop through athleticism. Also, completing my master's program in strength and conditioning for anybody who is looking to compete at the next level or compete in a certain, activity or sport. I'm your man if you're looking for programming. So that's something that I am an expert now as far as school and stuff. But today's episode is it's a quick one. Just wanted to get a video out for you guys. It's a really good content for a lot of people who are, you know, um, kind of in the verge of now getting into a nutrition plan. If you haven't really figured out, your macros, and there's a lot of bro science out there. There's a lot of YouTube videos. There's a lot of online trainers who encourage people to follow their programs, which I don't blame them. But there is a couple things that I want to make sure you guys are aware about, especially if you're an athlete or competing in sports, whether that's powerlifting, whether that's a show for competition like bikini, or if it's men's physique, anything like that. There is some things I hope you guys pay attention to hopefully not fall into that trap of following somebody on social media and they tell you, oh, eat this amount of food and then cut down or whatever it may be, right? I'm just going to give it to you based off science and research, and then I'll let you guys make a decision. But if you guys are interested in learning more or have questions specifically into maybe carbohydrates, maybe fats, maybe protein, or how it should change throughout the year, feel free to reach out. I'm here to help. I'm not here to make millions off podcasts or anything like that. Obviously it'd be nice, but I'm here to grow. I'm here to entertain you guys as well as educate you guys on some actually exercise science, not bro science. And if you don't know what that means, is if you follow somebody today on social media and they have a booty workout plan, if they have how to get bigger biceps, how to get bigger chest, you get what I'm saying, right? Some people just are very naturally gifted when it comes to aesthetics, as well as their muscles and their fibers. Compared to somebody like me, I'm not very muscular. I just been training for a while, but I'm not competing in anything when it comes to bodybuilding or anything like that. I still consider myself as an endurance athlete, as far as like cycling, whether that's soccer, whether that's long distance running, stuff like that. Hence the reason why I'm not a huge guy, right? So just so you know, there is people that are smart and are not big, and can prepare somebody even better for training, right? Because it's all about what you guys study. But without further ado, today's episode has to do with a lot of the effects of bad nutrition on sports performance, right? So it's not a topic that you hear a lot, I guess, out there, but I think it's a good one for if you're a parent, if you're an athlete today, if you're in college or in high school. Understanding what you eat actually affects your performance, whether you believe it or not. Obviously, you've been told that you probably still get into the hot Cheetos bag before a game, or you go to McDonald's, or you get something quickly at Subway when you think it's healthy, when maybe it's not really something you should be eating before a game. But I'm not gonna go too into detail. I'm just gonna give you guys some of the information when it comes to whether that's malnutrition, whether that's overeating, undereating, as well as dehydration, because that is something that most athletes should pay attention to. But first thing we'll talk about is malnutrition, right? What is malnutrition? So malnutrition has many multiple definitions depending kind of where you're getting your resources from, or sources. But I'll define it as a deficiency of excess or imbalance of wide range of nutrients that result in measurable adverse effects on body composition, function, and clinical outcome, right? So you might be, not eating enough food where you want to lose a lot of weight, but it's really affecting whether that's a mental state or whether that's muscles or whatever it may be. But for athletes specifically, nutrition should match your training program. So that's hint number one. It should track the same way you're tracking your workouts. If you're on a plan, if you're not, that's probably where you should start, and then look at your nutrition. But this will prepare you for better energy for your workouts, whether that's maybe 4 or 5 weeks. Maybe you're gonna go on a deload. Maybe you're gonna go on a high hypertrophy phase, power phase, strength phase. That's all gonna change based off how many calories and based off how many energy you're using during your training program. That's why it's important. Um, if you don't, obviously your performance will be impaired or slowed down, essentially, right? So if you're not eating the right foods based off your workouts, then you might not be as prepared as somebody else that who is doing it this way, right? Um, Overeating is probably my next topic for you guys. So overeating, right? This is something that I actually struggled with as an athlete when I was in college, even high school. I feel like I didn't really cook my own meals. Obviously, when I was in high school, my mom essentially kind of fed me, and we're Mexican, so a lot of times there's a lot of tortillas, there's a lot of bread, there's a lot of sweets, there's a lot of essentially a lot of oily food. If not, like if you go to the taco truck, it's not healthy at all unless you get chicken tacos and no grease or whatever. That should actually be a food truck name. But anyways, overeating, I think it happened to me in college as well. I mean, I studied kinesiology, I studied basic nutrition, but there's a couple things you have to understand. There's sports nutrition, and then there is regular nutrition for like the general public. For example, somebody that who works a 9 to 5 and maybe they're at a desk all day long, and then they're not as active as an athlete would. Obviously those diets are different, right? So you have to understand that there's two different things. um but overeating can be very detrimental for athletic performance, which is what I'm getting to if it's not monitored correctly, right? So um and obviously you'll if you don't pay attention to what to eat, you might have seen it already, and I've seen it before where some athletes gain a lot of weight. I probably was at preseason, and then essentially you kind of lose it, but it's because you're not really watching what you're eating. And imagine how prepared you could have been for preseason if you were already eating right up against other other competitors trying to win your spot, whatever it may be, right? So um there is an excessive amount of calories, so you're obviously eating too much based off how much you're burning, whether that's training, whether that's games, whether that's any preseason work. And then the energy is not there because you might be eating too much fat depending on what sport you're playing on. And there's not proper balance of calories in versus calories out. It's kind of what I'm getting at, right? So for most athletes, energy comes from consumption of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. I'm not going to get too into detail because I think most people have at least researched what those are, how much calories those are. But depending on the sport, the amount of calories consumed really depends on your training program, as I mentioned earlier, right? So if you are in preseason, right, there might be a lot more running, there might be a lot more calories being burnt compared to, maybe you have a game this weekend and you're only training up until Thursday, and Friday you may just rest. How do you think you're gonna, change your diet based off of that, right? So understanding how to change your program or your diet, it's not easy, right? Even most professional athletes or teams have a nutritionist. But if you're or someone like me who loves to train athletes, you have to educate your athletes on what they eat, or else that training program is not going to be as effective as you think it is. It might get to an extent, right, where it's very good and you'll see some progress, but imagine if their nutrition was on point as well, how much advanced that athlete could get, right? Especially if you're going to get ready for college, if you're getting ready to go try out for pro, whatever it may be. That's key to your performance, believe it or not. Undereating is the next topic. Undereating can really affect athletic performance, obviously, because the energy depletion is there. What that means is, like, so the way that the carbohydrates are broken down and the way that food is broken down, obviously it's fuel, right? I'm not going to get into details because that's a whole different science conversation. But glycogen is what gets stored in the muscle cells, deep in the tissues, and that's kind of where your energy comes. So as soon as that gets depleted, and it's very quickly if you're if you're in a high intensity, sport, like a lot of sprints, a lot of soccer, obviously that's a little bit different. So the longer that exercise may be, like an endurance athlete, like a soccer player or a marathon runner, long distance runner, whatever it may be, your energy depletion will kind of, basically finish for the most part. That's essentially when you start feeling fatigue for soccer players, because that's kind of what I can relate to. That 70 to 80th minute, you'll start noticing that you're very tired, and that's when a lot of subs start coming in because they're tracking it through a GPS system. that's essentially where you kind of load your body up with more fats, because fats store a lot more energy than carbohydrates do. And that's how you're able to, you know, fully prepare your body for a long duration exercise or program, whatever it may be. So glycogen is essentially kind of what you got to pay attention to when it comes to muscle soreness or even, fatigue when you're even training at the gym. Maybe you didn't eat right, and you'll notice it in your workouts as well. So the next one is dehydration. Dehydration is important, right? Everybody understands, at least to some point, why hydration is important. I'm not gonna go like basic science for you guys, but athletes specifically need to drink more water, especially if you're taking caffeine, if you're taking these supplements, if you're taking whatever it may be. A lot of them are diuretics, especially if you like drinking caffeine, coffee, energy drinks, pre-workouts. Those are all going to drain your body. So understanding how water and nutrition is important to whether that's your health or whether that's performance at the field or at the gym. That is important. So that's very quick. I'm not going to go into detail, but if you do have questions specifically on any of these topics that I went over today, feel free to send me a message, and I will gladly answer them for you. Before I finish up wrapping up the video, I do have a couple of things for you guys. So if any of you are athletes, if any of you are coaches, trainers, anybody who is preparing to go maybe for college, who wants to play, college sports, or maybe have an athletic clothing brand or anything that has to do with sports, feel free to reach out. I'm looking for new guests to join the podcast, and you don't have to come to my location, obviously, because I live in Montana, but I do have a virtual system, kind of very similar to Zoom. I send you the link and we'll join. All you need is headphones, a microphone, hopefully, if you have one. If not, it's okay. You can use your phone. And then also Google Chrome if you want to use your computer. If not, there is an app you can download, and I can send you the link, and then we can do it off your phone. Okay, so anybody out there who's looking to get an episode, let me know. I'd gladly love to have you. We'll have a conversation in regards to sports and what you guys do and stuff like that. Anything that we can teach to the public is always great. So without further ado, it's time to finish and wrap up because it is late. I gotta go to sleep, and I love y'all. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I apologize for not having a video in a long time, but I'll see you guys in the next one.